have your company this evening. James Bracey is off on swimming duty, so sorry, you will have to put up with me. But we have all of the regulars here. Paul Gallen, how are you?
Hey, Emma, I'm good, thanks.
Cam Smith.
G'day, Em.
And Gus.
Emma, how are you?
Very well. You must be very happy after that victory.
Yeah, it's only halfway.
Week in, week out, we hear the same thing.
Only halfway. What are you
halfway. What are we going to say when we're nearly at the finals? Anyway, we'll get to that shortly, but we'll start with what we learned from the week. So, Gus, you can go first.
Been saying it for weeks, and I'm going to say it again. You've got to start believing your own eyes. The Warriors and the Raiders, gee, they're two really good football teams. Warriors went to Shark Park the other night. They weren't favourites in this game. For some reason, everyone thought the Sharks would turn it around, but the Warriors just handed it to them. Absolutely brilliant performance, and if anything, they're getting better every week. And the Raiders too, well, they celebrated the big win down there in the capital. Josh Papalii playing his a record number of games for the club at 319, 320 games. And look at the conversion. That would have gone over from anywhere. From anywhere. Where has he been hiding that talent? Raiders and the Warriors. Believe your eyes, people. They're there.
Just behind the Dogs.
Don't stare him yet. Love it. Cam, what'd you learn?
Well, we're going to go back to Thursday night. It was Knights v Manly up in Newcastle, and the great man, Paul Gallen, he was sidelined, right? And he said, mate, get out there for Golden Point. The game's gone to Golden Point. Let's just go through his commentary. Have we got that? Have we got the vision of Galzer?
Flip the coin. Daly won the toss. Daly has won the toss, and they will run the same way they're running at the moment. So teams will not change direction. Daly Chervin's won the toss. Manly will receive, is that right? We don't know who's receiving at the moment. Manly won the toss, but we're not sure who's receiving. So we'll find out in a moment. Thanks, guys.
Good job on the sideline, especially when you're explaining Golden Point and who's kicking off and who was receiving.
Well, lucky I had Cameron Smith nailed it. He is the GOAT, the best of all time. And knew exactly what was happening.
Nailed it, Gal.
But look, DCE won the toss. I knew that.
I knew DCE won the toss.
Yeah.
But I did ask the NRL official. I said, "Who's kicking off?"
Right.
And he said, "I don't know," which is totally
he didn't know.
He didn't know, which totally threw me. But I will admit,
Yes.
I wouldn't have remembered anyway.
Okay.
I wouldn't have remembered.
So when you win the toss, you two were captains, you should know. So when you win the toss,
Well, he doesn't, obviously.
when you win the toss in Golden Point, you don't decide which way you run. You decide if you kick off or receive, don't you?
So you got the option.
Option, do you?
Yeah, you got the option. So if you choose to run that way,
Then
the opposition kicks off.
The opposition kicks off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered anyway.
What if you choose to kick off?
Well, then the opposition
Chooses which way they run.
It's a tough one, Gal.
I know it was,
I got your back.
especially when the NRL player said, "I don't know."
I've only got the New South Wales and the Queensland captain here, and neither of you knew the rules. So
They don't know
many
anything.
years ago, a long time ago.
What'd you learn, Gal?
I heard Joey on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday saying Smithy and Freddie should coach the Australian team now. Well, they probably won't both get it. I thought having both involved would be absolutely outstanding. I'm just wondering whether Smithy would leave his post as the Currumbin Eagles under 15s coach.
Yeah.
Look at him. Have a go at him here.
Have I got a tattoo on my arm?
You got tattoos all over you.
It's been AI'd.
What's going on there?
AI.
Great graphic work. Did you
AI
do
is
that?
crazy. No, I didn't do that. No, I'm not that good at all.
What was your junior league club?
Logan Brothers.
Logan Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit further north.
Yeah.
So this club here, the mighty Currumbin Eagles, it's on the southern part of the Gold Coast. Coaching my young fella there, under 16s at the moment, so they're going all right.
We'll grill you a little bit more later and chat all things
okay.
Kangaroos. But for now, of course, we have to get to the big news of the day. And the bombshell at a Maroons camp that Daly Cherry Evans will not be there for Game 2 today. Billy Slater saying it was the toughest call of his coaching career.
Full time, New South Wales 1-0 over Queensland.
I guess with losing comes the question, so yeah, I'd love the opportunity to come back and correct it.
An extraordinary bit of football by the 35-year-old Queensland captain who gets better by the year.
How good is he? A lot of the talking point after the game, Bill, was DCE, whether it's time's up. What's your thoughts on that?
Given our performance in Game 1, something needs to change. And whether that's personnel change or we just need to shift our mindset, I'm not sure yet.
And on behalf of the worst ever Queensland team, thank you very much.
I wouldn't drop Cherry Evans, I really wouldn't. I know the other kid did and is close, and I know he came off the bench and looked great, so I think they need the experience.
You won't hear a negative word from me about Daly Cherry Evans, what he's given this jersey, and that'll be with all Queenslanders and with Daly for the rest of his life.
This is what we do it for, this moment here.
But We just feel that Tom Dearden is the right person for the number 7 jersey right now.
I'm very pleased to say that Billy Slater joins us live now here on 100% Footy. Bill, thanks for coming on. We just heard a little bit from you at your media conference earlier today, but can you give us a bit more of an insight into just how tough it was, firstly, to make the decision to drop DCE and then, of course, to have to make the phone call as well?
Yeah, obviously, we don't take these decisions lightly, Em, and I made sure it was the first decision, and the first phone call that I made. I didn't speak to any other players before I spoke to Daly. I felt he deserved that respect, and it was actually a phone call that was had a whole heap of class and character about it. The way he took the news, we had a great conversation after I delivered the news to him. And that was in and around his Origin career and what he's done in this jersey, and that doesn't change. He's helped lift this shield, 3 out of the last 5 series, and he's been a great leader. He's been a great player and a great halfback for the Queensland Maroons, and that'll never be forgotten.
Billy, all the players come into camp at some stage today. How have the squad taken the news that Daly won't be there? I'm assuming every player in this current squad, they haven't played a game without Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah, it's actually a good question, Cam, and something that we haven't even touched on as yet. So only players arrived, around about lunchtime today. So, over the next couple of days, obviously there's been some changes within the team, but at the same time, we need to change some things that we didn't get right in game 1. That's the priority for this group now. It's not so much about who's not here and the changes that are on the team sheet. It's more about the actions that we need to change to make sure that we play our best football on Wednesday week.
Billy, you brought, I know you haven't named your team yet, but Corey Horsburgh's in the side. You were beaten pretty convincingly through the middle in game 1. Are you bringing him in to try and stiffen that up there?
I just think Corey has earned the opportunity to get back into this squad. He got himself nice and fit over the off-season, which he was when he played for this footy team. And he's doing plenty right. I just heard Gus talking about the Warriors and the Raiders. Well, Corey's been instrumental in the Raiders' form this year, and he's even held Big Papa on the bench at times. So. He's doing a great job, and we just feel that he's earned the opportunity.
Billy, first of all power to you, mate. It's a very big decision, but you're in a position that takes big decisions, and you've shown a lot of courage to do it. The question I've got is, at what point did you know such drastic change was necessary? It was a gut feel you had during the game, after the game, or just in deliberation over the last couple of weeks before you got into selection? Was there a point where you knew this decision had to be made?
Yeah, like Gus, been in this position, you take all these decisions incredibly careful and with a lot of thought, a lot of consultation with people whose opinion that you respect and you value, and then the decision wasn't actually made until yesterday. So that was the time that I notified Daly, and you obviously have an idea of what you'd like the team to look like, but it wasn't made until yesterday officially.
All right, well, I'll go this way. So what does Tom Dearden give you that you didn't think Daly Cherry Evans could?
Well, I'm sure you've watched Tom Dearden play a fair bit, Gus. He's a wonderful player in his own right. He's probably in the form of his career. I really like the way that he's actually taken control up there in Townsville, moving into the number 7 jersey. And the great thing about this footy team, with Tom Dearden, is that he's going to get a lot of help in and around him with the key positions that we do have. So, we just want Tom to be Tom, and if he does that, we're going to be a pretty handy footy team going forward.
All right, well, for Tom Dearden or Daly Cherry Evans, or even if you brought back Jonathan Thurston or Cooper Cronk, they're going to find it hard to function given the way your middle forwards went in that game and the way they were dominated. Isn't that where the game starts for you in this game?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the areas that I spoke about before in terms of, we've got to change some things to help us get our best footy on. The other thing, Gus, is, we gave 3 penalties, a 7 tackle set, and we dropped the ball on play 1 in the first 10 minutes. So that makes it extremely hard, and it helps the opposition get their footy going and make them feel good about their game. So we want to try and rectify that as well.
Senior just named a squad at the moment, Billy, rather than name the team. There's a vacancy now for the captaincy. Have you got a front runner in mind?
Yeah, we're very fortunate, Cam, that we've got quite a few club captains, but even outside the club captains, we've got quite a few great leaders within our footy team. And, you know, that decision will be made tomorrow when we name our side 1 to 18, or 1 to 20 for that matter. And, you know, that'll obviously be a new captain. But at the same time, that new captain will have a whole heap of support around him. So it'll be a proud moment for one of the guys when we name them captain, but at the same time, they've got some great leaders in this footy team that'll support them.
What about preparation for this one? You've been coach of the Maroons when they've had to travel over to Perth, Game 2 of 2022, I believe it was. Not a great result for the Maroons that night. Have you made some changes with your preparation and your travel?
Yeah, we're actually going over a little bit earlier, Cam. So that was obviously made months ago, the idea to go over a little bit earlier and settle in and have a couple of sessions over there. But we have to do it the long way now. We've got to go to Perth, keep the series alive, and then we've got to go to Sydney. I actually don't mind the long way. We've been taking a few shortcuts of late, so the long way suits us.
Oh, Bill, we can't wait to see you over there next week in Perth. Enjoy the build-up, and thank you so much for coming on here to 100% Footy.
Pleasure. Have a good night.
Billy Slater there. Gus, gee, grilled him.
Well, look, you know, I've said I wouldn't have dropped Daly Cherry Evans, but I respect his right to do that. He's the coach. He's got to make the big decisions, and I think that's why he's going to be a great coach. As time goes on, people are going to realise he's a great coach and he's a great knowledge of the game. So I respect his right to do that, and it's a big call. I'm just wondering what Dearden can provide that Daly Cherry Evans couldn't, because Dearden doesn't play the Cherry Evans role for his club side. Now he's got to walk into Origin when they're 1-0 down in the series against a very good New South Wales side. And I don't think any halfback, let alone a rookie, is going to function behind a forward pack that was beaten up as badly as them.
I think that's the best point you raised, Gus.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't have mattered who. They had JT.
Exactly.
At halfback, their forwards were totally dominated. They were on the back foot constantly. They were coming out of their end. I know DC probably didn't kick as well as he wanted to, but they're on the back foot the entire game. The entire game, the Blues forwards dominated.
On the other side of that is me thinking, all right, well, if that happens again, and it happens again, Daly Cherry Evans, at his stage of his career, is far better equipped to deal with that than throwing in a kid now and having to deal with that if it happens again. If New South Wales dominate in the forwards again and Dearden can't get into the game, how's that going to affect him and his development as a player going forward? That's just, I look at it the other side as well, you know.
Cam, for you as a Queenslander, what do you see that Dearden brings that potentially gives us a bit of an insight into why Billy went that way?
Well, I think you know, the energy that he plays with, and that's just a natural thing with age difference, right? So Daly's 36. He's the oldest player to ever play Origin. Tommy Dearden's, mid-20s? So he plays with a different level of energy. They play completely different styles of game, as Gus just spoke about. As everyone does as you get older too. Your game evolves, it changes. You don't have the energy that you once had as a young man. You know, so I think that's what Billy's looking for out of Tommy Dearden in this match. When he has the ball in his hands, he's not afraid to take the line on. He's not afraid to get tackled. He's not afraid to get bumped, going deep into the line to try and promote the ball, you know, to guys like Kalen Ponga out wide. Just try and spark something in attack. Completely agree with Gus and Gal with you know, where this game is set up, and it's in the middle. It has to be. It has to come from Tino. It has to come from Pat Carrigan. It has to come from Mo Fodawaker. Those guys that start in the middle, they have to give Ponga a chance. They have to give Munster a chance. They have to give Tom Dearden opportunities through the hard work in the middle. They can't afford to play like they did and get dominated like they did in Game 1.
And just before we leave this subject, I mean, Daly Cherry Evans, what a wonderful servant he's been for Queensland. You know, like I think, you know, we don't want this to end his career in any sort of negative way. What he's done for the Maroons has been absolutely outstanding over a long period of time.
He's a 3-time series winning captain for Queensland. Incredible. 26 matches, 20 consecutive at halfback.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Incredible career. And it's not to say that it is
Over.
the final
No,
full
that's
stop
right, exactly.
as well.
Did you play a club season without playing Origin? Did you retire from Origin?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I played my last three
seasons.
Yeah,
why did you do that? Did you feel as though you weren't up to Origin anymore? You just wanted to play for your club?
I felt it was taking away from club footy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I reckon if I played on, so I finished up in 2017, all representative football. I reckon if I continued playing for Queensland and Australia, if you know my selection was warranted with my form,
I think you'd have been close.
I don't know if I would have been able to go as long as I did club footy.
Yeah.
That might have finished me entirely in 2018. So I think it prolonged my career a couple of years at least.
Yeah, okay.
As we mentioned, it's only a squad at this stage. Billy will name the final 17 tomorrow. Ezra Mam has been included in the squad. Only 3 games back for the Broncos after that lengthy suspension. And as we all expected, and Billy said it today, he expected to, there was some backlash. Gus.
Yeah, well, of course there's going to be some backlash. I mean, you know, people make mistakes and I'm all for second chances, but this is very, very forgiving. Very forgiving. Even playing for the Broncos is forgiving, and it's more out of need than out of deservedly so. But, you know, the past is the past. Everyone has a future. And let's hope Ezra Mam gets in there and does a good job for the Maroons.
And I think if he's eligible for selection, which he is, for me, there's no issue. I mean, I think the issue more is, as you said, the fact he's allowed to be backed by the NRL, but he's done his time.
The issue is that he's eligible.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not that he's been picked.
But he's eligible, yeah, that's what I mean too.
That's a different argument. And I've given plenty of people second chances in life. You know, I mean, that's just, I get it, but it's very forgiving of the game.
All right, so Cam, this is your predicted team.
Yeah.
In terms of the skipper, who are you going? As Billy mentioned, plenty of club captains. You've got Harry Grant.
Yep.
You've got Tino as well, Pat Carrigan.
Yep. You could even throw Cameron Munster in there as well. You know, always performs and gives his best at this level. Wears his heart on his sleeve. I think Tino. Yeah, I think he's got a great personality. He's got a great character. Never really gets flustered at all. I think that's something that's really important at this level.
What about the fact that he probably won't play 80 minutes?
Yeah, I took that into consideration. I think Billy will be okay with that. That's if that's the person that he wants to go with. He may go with someone like a Harry Grant.
Would Harry Grant play 80 minutes, or will they have Kurt Mann? Do you think he'll go?
I think Kurt Mann will be the 14, definitely for this game.
If he is, I reckon he'll start at 9.
You reckon Kurt will?
I reckon Kurt Mann will start at 9.
Every possibility.
Just to take Harry out of that tough stuff the first 20 minutes.
Well, you know, like I said in the wash-up of Game 1, I've been a big believer that, you know, Harry Grant's he's a wonderful player. He's a great dummy half. At this level, though, he plays his best football when he's kept out of the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, you blokes know what it's like. It's awesome. I mean, it's a different level of football and a different level of physical contact, a different level of fatigue.
Yep.
And you don't want a skilled player like that exhausted in the first 20 minutes because the other side's overworking him, as they did in Game 1. So I think it only makes sense to make him a weapon off the bench, where he can come into the game after 25, 30 minutes and do what he's always done from the bench. You can't do that if you've already made 30 tackles in the first 25 minutes. You can't have that impact.
Let's stop giving them ideas. They don't need any ideas.
I don't know if Billy's listening to you.
Don't give them any ideas.
Who knows?
I'm taking notes here.
We'll get a clearer...
All I know is that whatever they say they're not going to do. So I'm telling them the right thing and they won't do it. I just know. I told them not to drop Daly Terry. Look what happened. They went
He's
and did
smarter
it.
than all of us, Gus.
It's reverse psychology.
Well, coming up, we're going to get all the latest from New South Wales camp as they look to lock up the series next Wednesday in Perth.
News Limited and Super League hit Australia in 1995. Wayne Bennett decided to stand down from the Queensland job.
Wayne Bennett was short and to the point.
Just resigned.
And the phone rang in the hall. I get this phone call from Ross Livermore, who's the CEO of the QRL. And he goes, "G'day, mate. Hey, Roscoe, what's going on, champ?" He said, "Mate, Wayne Bennett's just stood down from the Queensland job. We'd love you to coach Queensland this year." I go, yeah, I'll do it. He said, "Sweet." He hangs up and I go, "What just happened?" I'm the Queensland coach.
The ARL has banned players who've signed for Super League from playing representative football.
Officially, from the QRL, no Super League players who have signed with them are to be picked. Right. So our pool goes from this to this. Anyway, so the next day, everyone gathers in camp. And this kid walks in board shorts and thongs and a singlet and a cap turned backwards. I mean, he looked like a delinquent from somewhere. I think this kid's following us. I said, mate, stop right there. I said, this is for Origin players only. If you'd like an autograph, wait down in the foyer. We'll be down in half an hour. He goes, I'm Ben Ikin. I'm in your team, you dickhead. You're Ben Ikin. Oh, we're gone. Come on, champ, let's go and win a series.
The Maroons taken out for the first time by Trevor Gilmeister.
That first game, they really, they knew. They knew what Origin was all about. They had self-belief.
Queensland have won. Incredible performance.
Chopping, I hear someone go, Queensland. I go, it's on. And I don't think anyone landed the punch.
Well, we've seen plenty of this in Origin. This is one of the best.
If there's a favourite moment of the whole State of Origin series for me, it's when Brett Dallas picks the ball up from dummy half and he runs 95 metres to score what ended up the match-winning try.
Brett Dallas, he gets away. They won't catch him.
Everyone goes nuts.
He's like Grease Lightning. Look at them, the joy, the jubilation.
We've won the first series since what, 1991.
Paul Borton has pulled off a coaching miracle.
I mean, those players, I was so bloody proud of those players.
Queensland have won, and they've won the series.
The job's not done. Game 3 in Brisbane. So this is the one we've got to win. This is more important than winning the series. This is complete domination.
Ikin, he'll score. The youngster, he goes in to score.
This is what Origin does. It just makes you play better.
What a magic moment.
It was so emotional, so good. What those players did was just incredible.
They are dancing in the stands here.
It's the greatest 6 weeks of my life. It was so good.
And they said they couldn't do it.
Oh yes, the 1995 Neville Nobodies. Now Gus is coach of the Blues in that series. I'm sure it's on one hand tough for you to watch, but I mean, Fatty, you saw a giggle from you then. That story about Ben Ikin in particular, I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, but it probably just gets better and better.
I've heard all the stories. They get better and better, but he's the best storyteller of all time. But what he did in that series was remarkable. I went and saw him after every game and I said, you're going great. And I think it was an important game in the history. It was tough at the time for the Blues, but it was an important game in the history of Origin because it was everything that Origin was built on. It was everything that our game was under pressure from. And, you know, I could talk for hours about what was going on at that time with the Super League war and what have you, but for that team to do what it did, it was what our game really needed at that time. And Fatty provided it with those blokes and they still celebrate. It's 30 years to the day. I've got to go to a function in Brisbane and listen to all that crap again. But I'll go there and sit and listen to it. Fatty, I'll be there. Don't worry, mate. I'll be there.
But then it provided the motivation and that, like, deep burning to be able to turn it around, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about the next year.
Nothing?
Nothing. 95, heroes are the best.
All right, well, there's going to be plenty more memories made this year. Will it be the Blues who wrap the series up over in Perth? Very short time ago, Laurie Daly finalised his side for Game 2. So the only change really, obviously, we knew Mitch Barnett wouldn't be there. He did his ACL. So this is the official side. Max King is going to start up front alongside Payne Haas, and then Stefano Utoikamanu comes onto the bench. Matt Burton, the 18th man, for probably the 100th time. Keon Koloamatangi is in the squad as well, and Lindsay Smith, who's already played for the Kangaroos, gets the nod there. Gal, right decision? What do you think?
Yeah, no surprise to me, and I do think it is the right decision. I think picking Big Stefano was a natural selection for me. It was in Game 1. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows all the processes that the teams are running by, all the games, all the calls. So, yeah, I think he'll be very, very good. I thought he played really good for the Melbourne Storm on the weekend also. He had a couple of runs. His second stint was was amazing when he came back on the field. He almost scored a couple of tries. I thought he was really good, but yeah, I think it's a natural selection, and I think he'll do a great job. I think the Blues have a good game plan, a good blueprint. I do think they were a little bit conservative game one, but I don't think there's too much needed to change too much, to be honest. With that conservativeness come a great completion rate. They really drove it into the Maroons, and I thought they played really well. So I don't think there's too much need to change too much of the game plan, and Stefano knows it all inside out, so I think he'll be great.
Gus, do you think Max King is better suited to starting?
Doesn't really worry him. He's done both and done both very, very well. And he's a big minute player if he needs to go the distance too. I thought his contribution in Origin 1 was outstanding. His attention to detail, particularly his defence, was great. And they can rely on him. So if he's going to start, I'm sure he'll do a great job for the Blues. You know, it's always tough in Origin because if you have a win like that, what you learn from Origin is that the second game's going to be completely different. The same things that got you on the front foot in the first game might not occur in the second game. The start might be completely different. Queensland could get a few penalties. Things could go differently. So I think there are things to learn out of that game for New South Wales. I always say the losers learn the most. Queensland have a lot to learn out of that game. But if New South Wales don't learn that what else was possible in this game and just go with the same sort of mindset and think that it's just going to happen again, then that plays right into Queensland's hands. New South Wales has to advance again and then advance again into Game 3 to win this series. We're only a third of the way through it. Nothing's been decided. Queensland have shown their colours. They're going to make some changes and they'll come with a completely different attitude. So it's a new game. Start at the beginning. Look at the things you could have done better. Look at the things you didn't do that could actually help you. And then anticipate what is it that Queensland will change about their makeup now that Dearden's playing and Harry Grant might be coming off the bench and all the other permutations it has. There's a fair bit to go into this series yet.
Cam, for you, if you're a Queenslander, is it Stefano? Is he the guy that's going to instill a bit of fear, or is someone like Keon Koloamatangi? Did he provide a bit more X factor? If you're the Maroons, who do you not want coming off the bench and running at you when you gas?
Well, I'd say Stefano. He's the bigger body, and he's in pretty good form at the moment, playing with the Melbourne Storm. I think he's taken his game to another level since going down to Melbourne. And he's been a part of the system. He's played a game already. Was a part of their extended squad for Game 1, so he knows exactly what their game play, what their game style is like for this series. It's a strong outfit. And the luxury that New South Wales have is just the one change, a forced change through injury. I remember back to playing in a few series with the Maroons and playing through an entire series where you may have one or two changes. It just makes the preparation all that better and easier, particularly in the early days. Where if you look at Queensland and the build-up for them, they got a new captain to announce. They've got a brand new halfback in Tommy Dearden, so there's got to be some adjustments made. That'll happen in the first few days. And I know we're talking about the elite players of the competition here, but you got to build those combinations.
I think
New South Wales have that established already.
I think Miss Barnett was missed. It was a really good game one, I thought. I thought he'd done a great job. So he'll be missed, but I think the fact Stefano was there game one, as Smithy said, he was there game one. Yeah, it just makes sense. Going straight in, and his club form there's no question about his club form or his fitness. He's a natural selection for me, and I think it's a good one. Very, very strong team.
Yeah.
Gus, you mentioned the fact that they do have to be better because Billy's made changes. He's going to have them fired up. But how many gears do you think the Blues have left in them? Are they still a fair way off their best footy?
Absolutely. I mean, I always say you get better the further the series goes. That's why the less changes you make, the better. Cameron's even said it himself. So I think they're in a really good position, but they can't sit back and rest on what happened in that first 30 minutes of Game 1. They've got to make sure that they're prepared for whatever happens on the night. And things can happen. You can get 2 injuries in the first 5 minutes. You get HIAs. You've got to move around in positions. There are a lot of things that can happen in Origin that can put you on tilt and totally change the complex of the game. Plus, you've got to respect what Queensland are doing. Now, Queensland, they never name their team before New South Wales. They never come out straight away and do it. They wait for New South Wales to name their team and then they keep everyone waiting for 24 hours because it's all about Queensland. What have they done this time? The Queensland team was out last night. He's got him in camp straight away. He's dropped his captain. I mean, he's deadly serious about turning this around. And if New South Wales don't respect that, then they're going to get caught hopping at the start of the game. And at this level, if you give the opposition the momentum and the ascendancy, they don't let you off. They just don't let you off. So you've got to make sure you're there. There were other things I saw in that game 1-2 where New South Wales when I said they were conservative, I thought there were some real opportunities for them in that game that they didn't explore. If they've got their eyes open and they're watching the video closely, they'll see where that is, but they've got to get the right to do it. And I think there are some opportunities for them as well. I think they'll win handsomely. But I've got great respect for what Queensland have done and the attitude they've shown and the decision they've made, because they're deadly serious about going to Perth to square this series.
Gus loves talking about Origin. He doesn't love talking about the Dogs, but we're going to make you do it anyway, because it was a huge win, 30-12 over the Eels.
How did we get from Origin to
nearly
the Bulldogs?
60,000 fans, because it's time to talk the Doggies. Lachlan Galvin's got to try on debut.
I was trying to wear out as much time as possible there.
It doesn't matter how much you prolong it, you still have to talk about it. But before we do that, let's hear from Lachlan Galvin after that dream debut.
No, to come out here and in front of all the home fans and to get a win like that, yeah, it's quite amazing. And the support they shown throughout the whole game and throughout walking here, and that was yeah, quite unreal. And yeah, very happy to be a part of it. And yeah, I loved every minute of it.
Not just a win, but a try. What did it feel like to cross in your first game for the Dog?
No, it was amazing. You know, all the boys led up to that. I just finished it off, but yeah, just to get the win with all these boys that have been so good to me the past week, and yeah, I loved every minute of it. And yeah, the club's building something really special here, and yeah, I love being a part of it.
A special day out there at Accor Stadium. Gus, you said there wasn't really so much a plan around when and where he would come on, but in the end it was Toby Sexton who went to hooker. What did you make of the first outing for your big marquee signing?
Yeah, there was no real plan, and it wasn't really decided until Saturday that he would be a part of the 17, which I thought was a big call. In a game like that, particularly against Parramatta in front of a big crowd, and with all the noise that we've had over the last couple of weeks, people are putting a lot of pressure on him. It was a big ask, but, you know, you never really know when you're on the bench when you're going to be asked. You could have a couple of HIAs early, usually injuries solved where you get him into the game. But the best case scenario that he was going to come on with 20 minutes to go in the game, come on in a middle position in the field and just get his hands on the ball and get used to playing with the Bulldogs and get 20 minutes under his belt. And by then, you'd hope that the game was under control. And that was perfect scenario. That was best case scenario. As it turned out, the game was still in the balance when he went out there. I think it was 18-0 or 16-0 while he was on the field. So he had a big impact when he came on. Good things happen to good people. It was a nice afternoon for him.
I'll tell you, they complete well, the Dogs. Their completion
rate was about 90%
really
today.
It was such a high completion rate. Parramatta were right in the game. The start of the second half, they're pretty much
They're
on
going
top.
good, mate.
For a team down the bottom of the ladder, they are going okay. So there was probably, you know, obviously the first 4 or 5 minutes of the second half, the Dogs were down to 12 men. But then they got back to 13 on 13, and Parramatta was still on top. They went down the right-hand side of the field. Lomax kicked the ball back in field, which actually went dead. Gifted the Dogs a 7 tackle set. From there, they gave away a 6 again. They went downfield, kicked the goal, led 14-12. And from then on, the Parramatta side just could not get out of their half. They made errors. The Dogs' defence was outstanding, and they just went on to win the match and totally dominate. But the scoreline by the end of it was totally dominant. It was the last 25 minutes of that game where they just ran roughshod over Parramatta. But Parramatta, I agree, for a team down the bottom of the ladder, they are right in most games.
Yeah.
Matt Burton was good too. He must have been happy.
They were all good. It was a tough game. You know, Parramatta have been really good over the last month of football. They're improving remarkably. And, you know, it was wet and slippery conditions. We were expecting probably 65,000, 70,000 out there. I was out there to watch the reserve grade. It was bitterly cold and it rained about 3 o'clock, and it just made the surface slippery enough there as well. Can you just go back and show that Mitchell Moses intercept try down the right-hand side of the field there? He's going to try and find it for us, because it epitomises, I think, everything the Bulldogs stand for at the moment and what Cameron Ciraldo has instilled in these players and what he's trying to do. It's all based on effort. Look at the blue and white jerseys chasing, and some of them can't even get there, but look at them chasing and still chasing and still chasing and still chasing. You know, they've just failed to catch him, but the fact that they made the effort, that'll be the most pleasing part of the whole game for the coach when he goes in on Tuesday to review the performance. And that's why they're going as well as they are at the halfway mark of the season. Still a long, long way to go, but whatever you've got that effort and that commitment and everyone's buying in on it, you've got a football team.
Gosh, you've moved Toby Sexton into hooker.
I didn't.
No, well, sorry, the coach did. The Dogs did. No, you would have had nothing to do with it. I understand that.
I was having
totally.
a pie, mate.
Yeah, no, I got no doubt about that. But what do you see? Do you see Lachlan Galvin staying on the bench going forward, or would you see him starting in the 6 or 7?
I really don't know. We've got Origin next week. Bank Burton's not going to be available. Kurt Mann's not going to be available. Max King's not going to be available. Stephen Crichton's not going to be available. I don't know what injuries have come out of the game, so they play South Sydney this weekend without their Origin players. But the coach will have something in mind. I thought today, you know, it was a big decision to put him on the bench, given everything that's happened, but he actually earned the right. By Saturday, he said, I have to put him in. He's been so good at training. The players have really bought into him. He's bought into what we're trying to do, and I think he can help us. And then after the captain's run on Sunday, he rang me to say, he said that he had some really classy touches at training. He said, I'm so confident now that if we get him into the game, he'll do a good job. I don't think it matters the position he plays. And it doesn't really matter with the Bulldogs. If you watch them all year, everyone interchanges around everything in the way that they do the game. We've got so many players that can play different roles. So what he does him in the next few weeks, I really don't know. What his long-term position is, I really don't know. I just know that he's a classy, intelligent, humble footballer who's going to be a really good one, and I'm glad he's with us.
Yeah, well, like he showed at the Tigers, Gustin, he just had to be on the field. Like he's got that much class. He makes a huge.
Sometimes there are players just say, I don't know where to put him. Just put him out there.
Yeah.
Just put him out there. He'll tell us over the years what position he's going to end up.
Yeah.
You know, but what was really good is that he didn't. You know, the team that has been playing so well deserved to go around again, and they did. They all kept their positions, and they went out there and performed really well. And Lachlan Galvin had an impact coming on, so he's a real asset to the club, an asset to the team, and the players really like him. They do. I was at a meeting the other day where he spoke to the players and they spoke to him and they questioned him about his motives for coming. It was a really productive meeting and he handled it really well. He's an intelligent young boy, I can tell you.
Well, with Bert now, with Origin duties, you'd say he'd be wearing 6. 18th again, yep. He'd be wearing 6.
Gus is stoked about that, right?
He'd be wearing 6, won't he?
Well, Bailey Hayward played 6 when Burton was out earlier in the year. Burton missed 4 weeks with a knee injury and Bailey Hayward played 5/8 in those games. He may still keep coming from the bench. I don't pick the teams and I don't decide where he goes, but...
Why did you start laughing at yourself?
Because
I give him a little smirk.
No. You think Cameron Smith's a nice bloke. When he's off camera, he's smirking in faces and poking his tongue out. Honestly, he goaded me into that.
We love it. I tell you what, there's going to be more of this coming up after the break. So let's just chill for a couple of minutes because this is what is coming up on 100% Footy. Josh Papalii, what an incredible afternoon it was down in Canberra. 319 matches. He becomes the most capped raider of all time. And if you liked what you just saw from Phil Gould and Cameron Smith, there is more coming up. It is the Gould father and the GOAT, two of the best minds in rugby league, going head-to-head.
Only memory that we all will probably never forget in regards to one of our most loved players and one of our greats as a experience tonight.
Yeah, it's such a close mate for me. You get emotional because you see his family standing there, and I take parts out of his game and out of his life and apply it to mine. It's been great having him at our club, especially when I came. Such a good game.
Now our greats at this club, real greats. You've got Meninga, you've got Ben Lazarus, Laurie Dale, you've got Brad Clyde. You put Josh Papalii in there now, and that is without any emotion. That's just right.
I love this club with all my heart, and just the fans turning out, just loyal in this kind of weather. Yeah, thank you.
Is there any chance of keeping him, in the club as a goal-kicking coach?
It's tradition.
He actually does. He slots field goals as well and little drop kicks at training. So if we need him, he'll be in there.
To the left of the SYT, strikes it beautifully. Josh Papalii can do it all.
When I spoke to Papa before the game about something, I knew I'd never seen a man so on.
Celebrate, Papa.
He's more of a mate than a guy I coach. I'm happy for him because the boys did it for him.
Oh, how good. We love to believe in fairy tales and romantic stories in rugby league. It doesn't always end up that way, but that was very much the case down at GIO Stadium. And of course, it means that we couldn't go past Josh Papalii for our Cash Converters Conversion of the Week. Not only a milestone match, 319 games, a double, but then Cam Smith, a conversion as well.
Incredible. I think he actually did a little bit of goal kicking in his junior footy days. I've known Josh since he was about 8 years of age. He played at the same junior football club as myself. Played in my little brother's team, Matthew, actually, growing up. So that's really good. He could give a lot of top-line goal kickers some lessons there.
How often have you seen front row forwards out practising field goal and kicks at goal at training all the time?
Or every session.
All the time.
Yeah, every session. They're always out doing it. Yeah.
I practiced a field goal.
He nailed that.
I practiced a field goal every single captain's run I did.
Did you?
Every captain's run, and I nailed one.
And then you got it at
And I got
Leichhardt,
it the
right?
last game at
We
Leichhardt.
reenacted it a few weeks ago.
Big Papa, like what a man he's been for. You know, you talk about fairy tales. Wouldn't it be good if they could win a premiership? The only thing he hasn't done, play for his state, play for his country, been an amazing player for such a long time. Unfortunately, hasn't won a comp, but yeah, they're right in there this year. And you saw the emotion Ricky Stewart showed towards him. I mean, Ricky's so passionate about his players. I mean, don't worry, he'll give it to you when he has to, behind closed doors. But publicly, he'll always stick up for you, and he loves you putting your body on the line for him. And he's a big fan of Papalii, obviously. And he's been such a good player.
It was great to see that emotion from Ricky. And in his media conference after the match, he said Josh Papalii sits alongside the Raiders greats like Mal Meninga, Bradley Clyde as well, Glenn Lazarus. Gus, for you, where does he sit?
Yeah, well, people in the club know best. I mean, he's now played the most number of games of any Raider, and they had some of the greatest players in history play for that club. A lot of them at the same time. They went to 3 grand finals in a row. They won 4 premierships in 5 or 6 years or something. They had some wonderful players, and Josh Papalii at this stage of his career. Raiders haven't won a premiership since when? 94?
Yeah.
It's 31
94.
years now since they've won a premiership. As I keep saying to you, they're the real deal. They've had the most wins of any team in this competition at the halfway mark of the year. They haven't had a bye yet. They've still got 3 byes up their sleeve, which will give them a nice run in towards the finals. And who knows? Maybe they can win him a premiership before the year's over. But he's been a wonderful player. And as Ricky said, he rightly sits in the Raiders club amongst those greats of the game. Greats for the Raiders.
Hard not to love the Raiders, and perhaps a second team for everyone as well. I'll tell you what else, it's hard not to love the Gould father and the GOAT.
That's hardly an introduction. That is such depressing music.
I never get sick of it though.
It's depressing.
The topics aren't depressing though, because how good was yesterday, Gus? Tiger v Panther, Luai v Cleary.
They might play that at my funeral.
Let's hope it's not for a while, but we can maybe arrange it.
What do you have to go so depressing for?
That's very dark.
Well, I'm a lot older than you kiddies.
No. You got 50 years left in you.
You reckon?
Yep. At least.
Plenty.
You might be immortal.
Eh?
You might be immortal.
I don't think so.
You're an immortal of 100% footy, that's for sure. Okay. What did you like about yesterday? Cleary v Luai, there were some great moments. It was the talking point of the weekend. There was naturally going to be more pressure on Jerome Luai because he made the decision to leave. He said he wanted to be the man and to show that he could steer a team around, although they didn't get the victory.
Yeah, well, he's not the only player that's had to leave the Panthers during this great run that they've had. There's a lot of players playing with different clubs. It was just that he and Nathan had such a long history. I remember those two boys being 15 years of age in the halfback academy together out there at Panthers. They played together for such a long time. And there were moments yesterday where they were taunting each other and playing with each other's minds and in each other's face. And Luai was reading Cleary really well, and Cleary was getting up quick and balking Luai and sending him back the other way. Luai, strangely, or not strangely, but predictably, he virtually went to the other side of the field, mainly looking for his opportunities yesterday. I thought it was a great game of footy, really good. Tigers were terrific. So too were the Panthers. They had to be good to win. I thought both these players played really well. And they've had a long history together. They know each other's game really well, and it showed at different times during the contest yesterday. Terrific battle.
He had a couple of moments where he gave the penalty away on the kick chase for the escort, which I thought was a penalty, but he gave one away on Blaze Talangi, which... Look, that's simultaneous to me. Halfbacks, I know we don't want to... halfbacks have got to be protected these days, but that's not a penalty. Like that's simultaneous. He's actually hitting him before the ball leaves his foot. I don't know how that's a penalty. How did he be penalised for that?
Did he penalise him for the contact or for the, how they say they put him in a dangerous position?
Look, whatever he penalised him for that was ridiculous. Honestly, that's just not a penalty. You can't just let them... Smithy, you're a ball player.
No, I'm with you, mate.
You can't just let them have free reign.
Well, they have that now.
That's what I mean, mate. DCE will play till he's 50. The way he's going, he doesn't have to make contact anymore.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on him.
This is a statement from Graham Annesley and the NRL, essentially backing the decision, saying the rules are very clear. The defender has a duty of care. He put Blaise Halangi in a vulnerable position, and we see examples of this every week. Benji Marshall was blowing up. I saw Shane Richardson on the sideline. He was
What's the vulnerable position he put him in? He landed straight on his side. He hit him as he kicked the ball. You just cannot let ball players just have free reign and have as much time as... That's what they want. That's what the good ball players do. They create time for themselves. If we continue giving them time, how do you stop them?
Hard to.
It's ridiculous.
And you see where Talangi ended up there. How many tackles are made in a game? 600?
Something like that.
You know, half of those players will get put on the ground in similar fashion. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty rough one.
Keep going, girl. You're making good sense, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Get into them.
Anyway, I thought it was a great game. I'm with Gus.
Overall,
It was a
who
great
won
game.
that? I mean, I know the Panthers won the match, but between Luai and Cleary, did Luai get...
Well,
he put on a couple of big shots, as we just saw.
Yeah, he did, and he had a couple of pretty good moments for the Tigers. But you'd have to say, Nathan Cleary got the chocolates on this occasion. I thought the Tigers really stepped up and they were in it. I actually thought they were going to come back and steal it off the Panthers late. They play some enterprising football, don't they, when they need to? We've seen, the previous week where they played the Cowboys, they were down by a stack of points. They were down 22 or 24 points and they come back and...
Yeah, it was like 32-6.
Nearly won it.
Nearly
Should have won. And I thought that the same thing was going to happen on the weekend. They're really good to watch when they're on and when the ball's sticking and everyone's pushing forward with great energy. This one, look at this tackle.
For a tackle.
Incredible.
He was outstanding for the Panthers. Thomas Jenkins. Jenkins
Well,
on the week. They ran
hat-trick,
250 metres, got a hat-trick. He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But this scramble from the Panthers, that could, might save their season. They need to win the majority of games, as we know. But that particular tackle from Sorensen, that can be a momentum, a season-defining moment.
It could actually keep them in that top 8. You know what I mean? Put them in the top 8. They're hunting. They're 1 point out of top 8.
They're not far away. They need to win 8 of their last 12. They won 1 yesterday, and they need to win 7 of their last 11. They can do that on their ear.
As Gus says, it's only round 14. Time now to talk Mal Meninga.
Only halfway, Emma.
Let's talk Mal Meninga and the Bears. It's official. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, but he is heading over to coach the new franchise. Cam, you played under him at Origin level, and there's just no question about the fact that he's able to get a group together, inspire them. And do you think a big part of his role will be trying to instill into the players that go there that they have a legacy to build? Because it seems like that's what he did in Queensland.
Yeah, absolutely. A legacy, a responsibility to the game over in Western Australia to build the game of rugby league, to inspire people to come and watch the Perth Bears, to bring in sponsorship and backing of the local government. And that's what he's great at, Mal. Instilling those sort of legacy pieces that he did with the Queensland side first and foremost, and with the Kangaroos over what's it been the last decade. He's a wonderful person to have involved in a new franchise to bring people together, not just the football department with the players and the coaches, but the community as well. He's got great respect for the game of rugby league and what it's given him as a person and to his family. So he's always looking to give back and to grow the game. I think it's a great appointment for the Perth Bears.
We spoke to him on radio on Saturday, and he said how he's going to go over there and try and get involved with the West Coast Eagles and all sorts of clubs like that to really entrench themselves within the community. He also said that he's not silly enough to know that he needs smarter people than him around him. So for a bloke who's done everything in the game, coached at the highest level Australia, on multiple series at Origin, for a guy to admit that he needs help around him, I thought that was a pretty big thing for someone like him to admit. So I'm not sure who his assistant coaches are going to be or who he's going to take over there with him, but no doubt he's going to look for some pretty good guys there.
I think Michael Chammas might have a bit of news
Bit of
around that
scuttle.
in
Bit of
Scuttlebutt,
scuttle, right,
so
really.
stay
That's good.
tuned for that. Cam, you mentioned you would be interested in some capacity. Suggestions too that it might be alongside Freddie.
Right.
But, I mean, look, only 55 seconds to go. I might grill Gus instead. How about this? Gus,
Right.
you won premierships. You were the greatest coach for New South Wales ever.
That's not going to get you anywhere,
How
isn't it?
come you never coached the Kangaroos?
How come I never coached the Kangaroos? Oh, it was never really an option back then.
You never got asked?
That was, it's a long story, but I was club coaching at the time, and then I retired from coaching. And then I went back into coaching director at the Roosters, and I went back into coaching Origin again, and then I gave that away, and then I ended up at Penrith. So it's sort of never really been a discussion. By then, they had other coaches, and they're doing really well.
Did you want to at any stage?
Never really crossed my mind, to be honest.
But if you got asked, it would have been a
No,
great
well,
honour.
see, back in my era, Australia were extremely dominant. They won everything. They could pick anyone and beat anyone by a big score. There really wasn't great opposition back in those days. And that's nothing against the fellas that played there and coached them, but that's what it was. So, to be honest, it didn't really interest me at the time. The Origin I really enjoyed, but the club coaching was important. And then I gave coaching away. I gave coaching away a long time ago. And honestly, I don't have any regrets of that. Is that all right?
Fair? Yeah, no, I accept all of those points. Very valid. Just curious as to
You're very nice, Emma.
why.
James
Can
is
we
not
keep you?
nice. James is not. Yeah, can we keep you?
No. James will say I'm white-handing him. Anyway.
He knows a thing or two about that.
Moving on. Last but not least, who would want to be an NRL head coach, hey? So, at one point in your career, you're going to either get sacked or be in the firing line, right? But for Adam O'Brien, he was in the headlines this week for all of the wrong reasons. So the fans, when the Knights were walking off at halftime, the fans booed them. In his first media conference, Adam O'Brien got stuck into the fans and said they know nothing about rugby league. He backtracked, and the following day he was forced to apologise.
Look, I don't see too much wrong with this, to be honest with you. I understand the Newcastle fans would be filthy. I do understand that, and they're entitled to boo. They pay their money to go. They're allowed to boo. But when Adam O'Brien didn't know about the booing, and he get told about it for the first time in a press conference after his team just come back, scored 20-odd points in the second half and won the game for him after they put their body on the line, done everything they could to get the win, I'd rather my coach stick up for me than say, no, they're probably right, we'll crap once again. I would rather my coach go into bat for me like he did for his team. So for me, I understand the Newcastle fans being frustrated, and at the end of the day, they'll forgive him if they keep winning games. If they don't win games, they won't forgive him, they'll be upset at him. But what he did that night, back in your players, sticking up for your players, I respect.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yep.
I like it too, Em. I think it shows that there's unity within that footy club and within the footy team when the coach comes out and backs his players. I think he said those fans booing.
Yeah, the fans booed. He didn't say all fans don't know anything about it.
He said those fans that booed the team don't know rugby league and the pressure that they're under and the effort that they put in the first half. And he spoke about those things. And I know Adam O'Brien quite well from his time as a coach at the Melbourne Storm. He's an emotional guy. He's an emotional coach. He loves his players and he cares for them. So he doesn't like to see them treated that way. Whether they deserved it or not, that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, I don't mind. As Gal said, I don't mind him sticking up for his players. Another
emotional coach at times is Des Hasler, and he's been in the firing line as well due to their performances. He was asked after the loss on the weekend, Gus, if he was the right man to take the club forward. And often Des can dance around these things and talk in riddles, and we don't know where he stands, but he could not be more clear. He essentially said it's the players' responsibility. Do you think that's fair?
Well, the players play, the coaches, players play, coaches coach, administrator administrate. You try not to blur the lines in anything you do. And I can understand coaches under pressure, particularly in this day and age. The pressure and scrutiny from media is enormous. The amount of magazine shows and opinions and ex-players and ex-coaches in the media that are working, and everyone's got an opinion on it. And social media is so vicious and can be so, demeaning in various roles. I can understand coaches reacting the way that they are. But, experience will tell you that there are some responses that you do make and some that have got to be a little more measured. And there are things that you'd like to say that you can't say at different times, and you learn to know the difference as time goes on. You know, those two fellas, they're under pressure at the moment. Their teams are under pressure. Everything's putting them under pressure. It's what's happening internally that's the important thing. So they'll work it out. They'll work it out. Don't be too hard on them.
I'm not hard on them.
Hey? You're not hard on anyone.
Some of us are at times in the media.
Yeah.
Speaking of, one of our big news breakers here at Channel 9, Michael Chammas, he is up next with Scuttlebutt. Plenty of news floating around. You don't want to miss it.
You got a scoop for us, Gus? A scoop? You know something. You're not
I might be wrong. Why lose a
I've got to lose it. Well, he can only be done at the Dogs then if he's dealing in facts.
Don't start me on this.
Oh yes, Scuttlebutt is back for another week, and Michael Chammas is in the house. Lots floating around as always, Chammy, but the news around Taylan May, originally going back a couple of months ago, the Tigers had put a line through him and said not interested. But has that changed now?
Yeah, things have definitely changed over the past week or two. Danny Widler reported a couple of weeks ago that Taylan May had toured the South Sydney facility and that Wayne Bennett had taken interest in him. They were willing to give him a train and trial deal. But South Sydney got a call late last week that Taylan May was actually going to go to the West Tigers. Now, he had a medical with the club today. I believe things are okay from that point of view. And they've offered him the same deal that the Rabbitohs were willing to offer, which was a train and trial deal for the rest of this year. He had a contract to play at Warrington on the table with Sam Burgess's club in the Super League, but he's instead decided to stay around in the NRL, around friends and family, and is likely, as long as it's all rubber stamped by the Tigers in the coming days, to join them. So Taylan May, it looks like he'll resurrect his career at the Tigers, which is interesting because a couple of months ago they'd put a line through him, as you mentioned. They didn't think it was the right fit, but they've been convinced now. Taylan's spoken in the last couple of months. He did an interview with Danny Widler about some of his mental health struggles. So there's a view at the Tigers that perhaps they can take a chance on Taylan and he'll be worth it.
How is he there? How is his mental health? I know physically he done a medical today. By all reports said he's okay, but is he mentally okay? Is he in the right position to come back and play football?
I haven't spoken to him directly. I've spoken to people around him. There was a lot of concern around his well-being and his mental state a couple of months ago. He spent some time in a mental health facility, and I imagine the Tigers have done their due diligence. You don't make this decision lightly. He's obviously let go by the Penrith Panthers. Tremendous player, obviously. He was in great form for the Penrith Panthers, played in the wing, moved into the centres, and earned a deal around $600,000. His extension was worth at the Panthers. So you'd imagine with the club and such a decision, I know it's only a train and trial, but to bring him in and the culture they're trying to instill, they would have done their due diligence, and they believe.
Their aim has always been to play together. The three May boys have been selling themselves as a package for a couple of years, all wanting to get together. The sticking point was always Tyrone, because he's over in England after he's split with the Panthers, but they've always been trying to get to the same club. So if they can get Taylan playing with Terrell at the Tigers and doing a good job, it may even pave the way for Tyrone to come back from Hull KR and play with them as well. He's done really well over there.
I think
that'll happen?
I think that's the move. I don't know if it'll happen. Obviously, a lot will hinge on how, with Taylan, how he fits in there, but there's definitely conversations about bringing Tyrone back to Australia next year. So, yeah, I think, Gus has obviously been part of it. He's spoken. I think Taylan and maybe all three in the last few years, I'm not too sure exactly, but there has been conversations. They've even admitted themselves publicly they want to play together, so I wouldn't be surprised if they move to try and make that a reality.
And what about Mal? He's come out and said he admits he doesn't know everything. He needs really good people around him over at the Perth Bears. Who's he looking at this stage?
Yeah, there's been a noise around Matt King. Obviously, he's knocked it back. The NRL went to Sam Burgess and Brad Arthur to see if they'd be interested, but they're obviously coaching in the Super League and have head coach aspirations. I can see tonight there's conversations ongoing with Ben Gardner, the Samoan coach. He's also the assistant coach at the Penrith Panthers, won a couple of premierships there under Ivan Cleary. So he's in the box seat to take over, well, not to take over, there's no job, but to go over there and work with Mal Meninga and the Perth Bears. Brett White's name has been mentioned as well. Mal Meninga wants to bring Brett White across to the Bears. I'm not too sure if he wants to go across at the moment. He's at the Canberra Raiders. So Ben Gardner, one of those options. The Samoa link is probably something that's going to be important going forward. There's talk that Payne Haas is going to be playing for Samoa. Payne Haas has had conversations with Ben Gardner, was going to play last year for Samoa before he got injured. So Tino, there's talk potentially he'll play for Samoa. So imagine as a recruitment tool, if you've got someone who's coached at the Penrith Panthers, coaching at Samoa, it will help Mal Meninga as well, and he's highly regarded for what he knows off the field as well.
Well, he takes the knowledge from the Penrith Panthers, doesn't he, and the high standards that they have, and particularly around their training and their preparation. It's not all about game, it's about preparation and training standards to get you to that level to play consistently well, like the Panthers have done over the last 4 or 5 years. He's got a great relationship with Brett White too. Brett White's been involved with the Kangaroos for the last couple of years.
He's done a long apprenticeship, Benny Gardner. I think we brought him down as a player. He was from Southwest Rocks or somewhere up on the north coast of New South Wales as a kid. He came down to the Roosters as a player. Didn't really make it as a player. He might have had some injuries. So he's had a long apprenticeship. He's probably been in the game 22, 23 years around some of the best coaches and the best systems. So he knows his stuff. He's very highly regarded. Brad Fitley used him in Origin, I think, at one stage there, and also used him when his time at the Roosters when he was coach. So he's done a long apprenticeship, Benny Gardner. He's highly regarded.
Also coached at the North Sydney Bears as well at some point. So there's that connection as well.
What about Cam Murray, the skipper for the Rabbitohs, out with an Achilles injury? I spoke to him a few months ago and he was adamant he'd be able to make it back at some point this year. How's his comeback going?
Yeah, there was a setback a few weeks ago. I think he had an infection. I spoke to Souths today around the Taylan May situation, and the club's growing. He's got obviously a lot of hurdles to overcome. They're confident that if they're in finals contention, the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, Cameron Murray could play for the Bunnies this year, which would be a huge boost. I think some people would probably say they've overachieved at different stages this year, the way they've performed, especially at the start of the year. They really came out of the block strong. So to get Cameron Murray on the eve of the finals, they're hoping the last 2 or 3 weeks he could be back.
And some big conclusions this weekend as well. What do you have for us?
Yeah, a bit of club news. Some talk out of Newcastle that Jackson Hastings will play. He'll play against the Roosters, who themselves will welcome back Sam Walker. The talk out of the Roosters is he played Cup on the weekend and he's going to be good to go this week. So that's a huge boost for the Sydney Roosters. Coming back from that ACL, hasn't played all season, and he'll be a massive boost for them. Tommy Trbojevic, been told he'll play this week. That issue with the leg, he'll be good to return. So a few big names playing in the NRL this week after some lengthy stints on the sideline.
So they're clearly happy to bring Jackson Hastings in, despite reports that the players all don't get along with him.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because there's been pressure from Adam O'Brien to bring him back. It's somewhat forced. He was 18th man, I think, on the weekend for this game. And then he's got this situation where Kalen Ponga's going to head into Queensland camp. So Fletcher Sharp, you could imagine he'd move to fullback, and that would open the door for Jackson Hastings to play in the halves. And we know he's on huge money. He hasn't been given a chance. He's on 750, 800,000 this year. So he'll get his chance. There was talk David Fafita would be back. I spoke to the Titans today. They say he's a few weeks away. 2 weeks away, at best 1 more week. So the Titans still hopeful to get him back soon, and I think they're going to extend Jojo Fafita for 3 more years. So some news out of the Titans tonight.
Jamie, thank you. All over
Appreciate
it as always. Stay with us here on 100%. Our TAB Top 3 is coming right up. See you in a sec. Welcome back. Time for our TAB Top 3. And Gus, we couldn't go past Rockstar Reece. Not that much earlier than that. It looked like he was gone and the knee was really bad, and then he pulls this off.
Yeah, he was going to be out for the season 2 minutes earlier, and then he does the Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. That was just arrogance. Look at that. Oh, gee whiz. How do you tackle that? He's a rock star, all right. He's an absolute beauty.
Absolutely. Next we have Jack Bostock.
Yes.
His Superman try. He's had a great year, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and it looked very similar to the Xavier Coates one, didn't it?
Yeah, very similar. Quite acrobatic. Maybe Xavier Coates just has the lead as far as try of the year is concerned, but he's playing really well. I'll tell you what, he wouldn't look out of place in a sky blue jersey.
Joey was caught when Lomax was injured. Yep. Joey kept saying Bostock is a smoky for me.
Safe as houses. Love watching him play. How good the Dolphins go, just quietly.
Good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
Tough night for the
Really
Dragons.
Ooh.
What about for you, Gal? So you were kicking stones a bit. You had to go up to Newcastle.
Kicking stones.
Poor Gal.
I was
it
off the
was freezing
road.
up there.
Really? Denica had to travel 3 hours up the highway. It was the worst game of football ever in the first half.
And then you got this.
And then the second half was the best game of football I've seen all year. It was unbelievable. It was awesome. The crowd got into it. It was brilliant to be there. Callum Ponga, to be fair, didn't do much the entire game. Scores a winning try. That's what you pay him $1 million a year for. But half-time of that match, I was absolutely filthy. Danik was about to retire. It was, she wasn't really, but it was just crap. And the second half was unreal. So well done to the Knights for getting the win. 20-odd points in the second half. Good job.
It showed how interested you were with your summation of the golden point.
Oh, yeah. Mate, listen, I've explained the golden point coin toss, okay?
Did not want to be there.
I wouldn't have known anyway.
Surely you get more of a say on which games you go to. Who gets the most say?
I don't get any say.
Which games you go to?
You go where the work is.
Yeah,
That's why he's on the big bucks.
I got no problem in going, but it's just the fact the game at half time was just crap, and I was just off it. And
I wonder if the commentators. Joey walked out on a game the other day.
He did. He left. Yeah. But it was the worst thing about Newcastle. Like Newcastle for me is up the coast. It's a pretty nice place. It was freezing cold. It was the coldest I've felt for years. It was so cold. God, I was
Poor old
annoyed.
Gowser.
But anyway, fantastic game. Ended really good for the Newcastle Knights, so well done.
Yeah, well done to the Knights. The Broncos, they bounced back in a big way, but there was a lot of chat around those awesome black jerseys. One, how good they looked, but also a really great cause in raising awareness for mental health. So great initiative came from the Broncos.
Men's mental health, yep. The Black Dog Institute, they were supporting. So
oh, gee whiz.
I'll tell you what, I was at my junior footy club when this game started. Resembling the All Blacks. Yeah. They did, didn't they?
You couldn't help but see All Blacks, like...
Yeah, yep. And
the whole 80 minutes.
So it was a great night for the Broncos. Under a lot of pressure, the entire footy club over the past, 6 weeks. They haven't had a lot of good results go their way, but a big win against the Titans.
Okay.
Yeah, great cause, though.
Great stuff. And
Renault's 300th it was,
yes.
Yep, so...
Another milestone man from the weekend. All right, stay with us here on 100%. We're going to wrap it all up very shortly. Welcome back to 100%. Big week coming up on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Gal, your tips?
Sharks, Manly, Dogs.
Cam?
I'm the same. Shark, Seagull, Dog.
Dog. And you're going to be any different, or are you going to copy the other two?
I can't even see who's playing.
Sharks, Dragons? Sharks and Dragons.
Sharks and Dragons. Crikey.
Coin toss.
Yeah. What's going on with the Sharks, Gal?
They'll be back. Just have a couple of down weeks, they'll be right.
That's not what I asked. I said, what's going on with the Sharks?
And I said, they'll be right.
Yeah.
Manly or Titans?
Manly.
All right, that's enough from
Taylan
all of us. See you next week, everyone.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.